early. Sometimes it's good to be early. But our show starts at a specific time. You should remember that. Let's get started then, shall we?
Dillon, I don't give a what you think about a co-host and freshen up my show.
It might not be flashy, but sometimes you just got to toss another person to make a statement.
My show's about the People's Podcast. Everyone has a voice. I don't need a co-host. Go listen to one of the other 5,000 shows with a co-host because they don't have a mouth like the big guy.
Opie, are you a career killer with Tim Sabian, yourself, and many others?
Be myself. Never had real issues with those people. They just understood that I was a different bird. The rest of them, though, I'm like, oh, shut up. I'm paying your salary because the ratings are so good, so shut up.
Right.
Live from somewhere,
it's Dillon.
Good whatever to you whenever you are listening to this. And it does appear I have some stiff competition today. Thank you for joining American Cupcake. Looks like Rochi will be here in a little bit as we discuss video games and law. Today with Elite, I believe is how she pronounces her nickname. Alina, I'm going to call you Alina or Ali. Elite is a bit odd, but go ahead, whatever. She is talking about Billy Mitchell. And Billy Mitchell, I have been aware of for quite a while. The original, pardon me, the original batch of video gamers from the 1980s. They took a picture for whatever magazine it was at I forget what it's called, Twin Galaxies, the official record holders, and Billy Mitchell and Todd Rogers, two very curious fellows. I believe Billy Mitchell had a lawyer on retainer, the way that he was very sue happy, and there was a lot of people that he would just go after for whatever reason. I mean, he tried to sue Regular Show when they had a giant parody of Billy, because Billy he has to be suffering from narcissistic personality disorder, something awful, the way that he just cannot take any jabs at his ego whatsoever. But he brought a frivolous lawsuit against Carl Jobst, and a few other YouTubers. And Alina is going to get into some of the facts of those lawsuits because Billy Mitchell's case isn't going well. When you just say, I am right because I'm the greatest, that doesn't really hold up in court.
It's not often that you come across someone who both comes across as extremely malicious and makes some really stupid decisions. And despite the fact that these types of people typically end up causing a lot of harm to a lot of people.
He got away with it for a while, did Billy Mitchell, because the inner sanctum of Twin Galaxies were just disciples of Billy Mitchell, who comes off like a cult leader. I bet he is just a nasty person. I forget where I was going with that thought. Oh, Todd Rogers is where I was going. So Todd Rogers did not have as much wealth as Billy Mitchell, and he looks more of a mess than Billy Mitchell. And his lawyer gave so little shits. There is actual court documents filed with Todd Todgers on them, and I just find that great. I believe it's Carl Jobst. I believe he was formerly our White Goose gamer streamer, and he's been following Todd Todgers and Billy Mitchell for a while. That's why simply just pointing out indisputable facts that hurt Billy's ego gets you a lawsuit against you. So we are not going to go too out of turn here because we don't have the hundreds of thousands of dollars to go up against Billy Mitchell, which he will probably try to do again after looks like he's losing this lawsuit.
Actually be oddly satisfying because of the fact that the truth generally has a way of coming out. And as they say, sunshine sanitizes all. In this video, we're going into the so-called video game legend Billy.
And I never gave you an actual hello, Dayla. I brought up your chat, but thank you for joining on this morning with lots of competition on other YouTubers' channels.
And more specifically, one of the many defamation lawsuits that he's filed over the allegation that he cheated in his pursuit of the world record for highest score playing the vintage arcade game Donkey Kong. And more specifically than that, we're going into the one piece of evidence that after years of litigation has just recently surfaced and been made public that I think not only defeats this case of defamation, but potentially defeats every single bit of defamation litigation that Billy Mitchell has filed against others.
You blew it.
Let's get into it.
I wonder if Billy Mitchell still owns his hot sauce. His hot sauce that he was really plugging there on MTV's True Life, where I first saw him. And then The King of Kong is a really fun documentary. And when you're making a documentary, you are trying to make someone the hero and someone the villain, as you will see in Pumping Iron, the 1970s weightlifting documentary. Arnold Schwarzenegger was the villain, and we had Lou Ferrigno as our hero. And it was very simple for the producers to come to the decision that obviously Billy Mitchell is the villain here in The King of Kong.
I feel like we're exposing
The
Top Chef secrets.
documentary about a someone not known in the video gaming community coming in and breaking the Donkey Kong world record.
Okay, so first off, if you are a regular viewer of this channel, you might be noticing a certain difference and blandness in my background right now. As many of you know, Mr. Bytes and I just recently moved, and our stuff.
Yes, that's fine. We forgive your background. On to Billy.
On happenings in the retro video game market. And I will say that the impetus for making this video was Carl's latest video on the subject, where he talks about this devastating new evidence. I highly recommend.
And I believe this is 6 months old. Yeah, so there is more things coming to light. Actually, I don't think Carl Jobst really spoke about it because he was in the middle of a lawsuit with Billy, so he couldn't get rid of all those. Thanks for trickling in, guys. Welcome back, McFoyd. Welcome back, G-Rob. Thank you all for choosing the underdog in the morning YouTube battles.
Find it linked in the description below. Now, that said, the behavior that I'm about to elaborate on really reminds me a lot of Lance Armstrong when he sued a bunch of people for defamation for calling him out for cheating in the Tour de France, but like without any of the real fame and notoriety that Lance Armstrong had. And like Lance Armstrong, this does appear to be a situation where someone seems to be exhibiting a guilty conscience, going on the offensive to protect something that might be based at
his ego done got hurt. That is most of what the lawsuits, there's a lot of people who have backed down from him over the years, but Carl Jobst took out a GoFundMe. I believe he said it's like $250,000 that this lawsuit has cost him, of him just saying that, look, the evidence here says that Billy Mitchell is a cheater. I was quoting there, Mitchell. Don't
at least
get that lawyer on me.
To fully tell this story, let's first go through the background to make sure that we're all on the same page here. Then we'll get into some of the details of the lawsuit, as well as this new
Give me the ins out and what have yous of what indisputable facts that Carl Jobst is being sued for.
Probably destroys the chances of success of literally all of Billy Mitchell's defamation lawsuits that arise out of this issue. Okay. Let's get going. If you look at Billy Mitchell on the internet, you'll find that he is an American video game player and a restaurateur. But it seems like it's not really his restaurants that he's known for. He apparently rose to national prominence.
Yeah, he had the hot sauce. I'm curious about that hot sauce. I never want to buy it.
When Life magazine
want to give that shithead money.
Photo spread of game champions during the height of the golden age of arcade video games. Then, in 1999, he was recognized by Namco, the maker of Pac-Man, as the video game player of the century for allegedly achieving the first perfect score in a Pac-Man.
Oh, more on that actually. I wonder if she's going to get into that. Carl Jobst uncovered that was not the video game of the century award. Billy Mitchell kept saying it so often, and then people kept quoting him. But I am referencing his video. I am not speaking on my own, Billy Mitchell. Get those lawyers down. Back, lawyers, back.
Pac-Man arcade game. But Pac-Man isn't where this dispute comes from. It's from the arcade version of Donkey Kong. Specifically, there are 3 scores Mitchell says he received, disputed by defendant Twin Galaxies, that, if real, would constitute world record scores. To make things a little bit easier to reference, the litigation gives these scores shorthand names. The first one, the King of Kong score, was a score of 1,047,200.
And anyone who saw the documentary saw that was very suspicious, because they demanded certain parameters that Billy Mitchell did not meet, and they were like, oh, Billy sent in a tape that doesn't meet the parameters, but it's Billy, so he's champion, not you.
apparently achieved on December 28th, 2004. The second one was from July 14th, 2007, the mortgage broker score, in which he allegedly scored 1,052,200 points. Then there's the boomer score, where he allegedly scored 1,062,800 points on July 31st, 2010. The notoriety Mitchell.
These are in court documents. What a time to be alive. We have squabbling over who got over 1 million points in Donkey Kong on an exact date in court documents. Thank you, Billy.
Has received from these alleged high scores has been notable.
Actually, no, thank you, Billy. Dick.
If you yourself may not have heard of him until recently. He's appeared in a number of documentaries on competitive gaming, including a film in which he more or less starred, titled The King of Kong, A Fistful of Quarters. So what exactly gave rise to this dispute concerning these high scores? And who exactly is Twin Galaxies? According to court filings, Twin Galaxies was founded by
Twin Galaxies. There's the old owner. I don't know, Kinky Loco, thank you for joining. If you know about this old guy, but he was part of the cult of Billy Mitchell, and just whatever Billy said, he bent the knee to. And then we got new owners of Twin Galaxies who did not bend the knee to this attempted cult leader.
Walter Day in 1982. In 2014, he sold it to a man named Jason Jace Hall. Prior to that,
did I not introduce Elise properly? She's got her own law firm, and she has a YouTube series talking about different court cases. So I love talking about this fool Billy Mitchell. So I'm diving into Alina Mazeika and what she has to say of Billy. So I'm not saying it on my own. So as I said earlier, get away, lawyers. I am only referencing and reacting to what others have said.
National Video Game Hall of Fame and the Guinness World Records to put together video game competitions. Between 1982 and 2014, Twin Galaxies oversaw world records.
Thanks for sticking around a little bit, Roji.
Or by video footage that was submitted to them. As you can imagine, video footage does carry some amount of risk, seeing as it can be potentially manipulated. But Twin Galaxies allowed it starting in the 1990s so that more players could participate remotely from home. On top of their world record adjudications, Twin Galaxies also runs a website where they publish rules for competitive video games, player performances.
Yeah, Twin Galaxies used to be the Guinness Book of World Records until they lost all credibility, mainly because of Billy. And did they eventually take away Todd Todger's goal, the drag race that Todd Rogers, as his birth certificate says, not legal documents that say Todd Todgers, Todd Todgers claims to have gotten a score that is physically impossible, and Twin Galaxies kept that posted for a long time.
Are measured and where records can be publicly viewed and challenged. These records will recognize players for high score, fastest time, and other categories. Twin Galaxies records are apparently held in high enough esteem that the Guinness World Records routinely uses them for several Guinness World Records Gamers Edition books, among others. Now, on to the dispute function on Twin Galaxies' website, because this is really where we start narrowing our focus to the dispute at hand. Twin Galaxies provides a specific process for disputing a score that appears on a leaderboard. Specifically, once a dispute has been submitted to Twin Galaxies, it's placed into a public dispute voting forum where the gaming community publicly discusses, presents evidence supporting or refuting the claim, debates, and votes on the veracity of the claim.
And I forget Beardy's name, but yeah, he would just come out of a closet after sucking Billy's cock and say, "Yep, trust me, Billy got it." So no discussion there.
That's kind of what happened here with Billy Mitchell's 3 disputed scores. Particularly, it was Jeremy Young, who's registered through Twin Galaxies websites under the account name Zelnia, who submitted a dispute to these scores, claiming that they were not achieved through original Donkey Kong arcade hardware, as was required under the Twin Galaxies rules. Now, this may be obvious to you, but it's worth spelling out why this is important. You see, where people are competing against one another, it's important to ensure no one is giving themselves an unfair advantage, particularly where these attempts are being.
And fans of speedrunning do know the leaderboards have many categories. There is the N64 category for Mario 64. There's the emulator category. There's the DS category. So, yeah, there's an even playing field looking. So do not fuck with that switchboard inside that cabinet if you want this to count.
Are being made outside the physical presence of Twin Galaxies officials. And so one of the main ways to do this is to ensure that everyone is making these attempts at these high scores or fastest records on original video game hardware. Otherwise, an update to the hardware can, for example, potentially give the player greater game.
And that's actually how Ms. Pac-Man came to be, was modders getting into Pac-Man and speeding them up. And it's a perfect sequel. Once you play Ms. Pac-Man, you can't play Pac-Man again. So, yeah, they were just like, all right, modders, this is our sequel. Take the legs off of that Pac-Man and put a bow on it. This is Ms. Pac-Man.
gameplay maneuverability that people operating on original hardware may not have. So if we're going to rank players across the board in a one-to-one comparison, it makes sense that everyone would have to operate on original hardware, even if just to simplify matters. Anyway, so Jeremy Young, or Zelnia, offers up this claim that Mitchell obtained these world record top scores on Donkey Kong hardware that had been modified in a number of ways. And he elaborates all of the reasons why he thinks that this is true. For example, he presented evidence that the video footage that Mitchell submitted for these top scores had some
Okay, we need to get some jokes in here. Thank you very much for the technical talk. But let's get back to calling Billy Mitchell an arse, as Rochi is pointing out. And where else has he appeared? I think those are the two main that I got from Billy Mitchell. Well, Sue Happy, yeah. When I didn't hear from him after the King of Kong through many videos or anything, like it would just come up in the news. Billy Mitchell suing someone again. And yeah, Todd Rogers didn't have that lawyer on retainer and failed miserably. And Todd Rogers looks like fucking shit. Whereas Billy Mitchell does, at least, I bet he's got hair plugs. There's something up with that hair. As someone with long, beautiful hair, I shouldn't say that hair is fake, but I think he's got plugs or something. There's something up with that hair.
Scores were achieved on an emulation platform, such as the MAME or MAME system. If you're unfamiliar, an emulation platform is hardware or software that enables one computer system to behave like another computer system. This can allow, for example, an arcade or
yeah, and buying physical copies is getting harder. So, yeah, separate category for those speedrunners. And Mr. William Mitchell here attempted to pass off original hardware, as we're going to get to, and he just is still denying it. Over on Carl Jobs' channel, he has the actual deposition where they catch him in a lie, and he just cannot admit to the lie. Once, like, I think he switches lawyers midway through. He just throws his hands up in the air, send the next associate in. I need to check out that O&A interview that Billy Mitchell was on. Yeah, very weird guy. I have not heard him on O&A at this point.
Console-based game to be run on a desktop
computer. Weird phrase
so the
I
screen
chose
might
there.
Look like an arcade game, but the player might have additional ways of commanding various controls on the game. So according to court filings, Twin Galaxies made this dispute public, allowing people to see the report, and also made copies of the video footage available for public viewing and comment. And at the same time, Twin Galaxies conducted their own investigation into the dispute. Then on April 12, 2018, Twin Galaxies published a statement to its website and social media accounts, which started with the following. Based on the complete body of evidence presented in this official dispute thread, Twin Galaxies administers.
Like, I don't want to actually play the Harry Shearer over top of her, the uh-huh-uh-uhs, because she is giving the accurate information. That's why I'm here. I got to punch it up with some jokes. So can you help us? Can you give us an answer, Elise, of what is going on? Is Billy Mitchell a lying liar?
Give me a fucking answer! What don't you get about it?
Yeah, we don't get everything about it, Christian Bale and I. Give us some more details.
Staff has unanimously decided to remove all of Billy Mitchell's scores, as well as ban him from participating in our competitive leaderboards. Twin Galaxies has meticulously tested and investigated the dispute case assertions, as well as a number of relevant contingent factors, such as the veracity of the actual video performances that the dispute claim assertions rely on. In addition to Twin Galaxies' own investigation into the dispute case assertions, at least 2 different third parties conducted their own explorations and came to identical conclusions. Most notable was
we really need a Twin Galaxies pre and post 2014. Do we have the Billy Mitchell cocksuckers, or do we have the people who legit got swindled into buying this damaged reputation of a former video game record holding company?
The third party Carlos Pinero that Billy Mitchell engaged to help examine the dispute case claims on his behalf, utilizing whatever original equipment Billy could provide, whose final finding was consistent with Twin Galaxies' investigation and others. Dude, first impression looking at this, if the guy that Billy Mitchell himself tapped to do an objective investigation came to the same conclusions that Twin Galaxies did, I think Billy Mitchell's got some serious problems here. Anyway, I've been picking through the statement so far, but skipping just a little bit further. It says, from a Twin Galaxies viewpoint, the only important thing to know is whether or not the score performances are from an unmodified original DK arcade PCB. As
that does not surprise me that on the Opie and Anthony appearance, Opie found this guy to be amazing. They seem to be of a similar ilk where they've got to make shit up to live with themselves, really. And for some reason, Billy Mitchell must make up these fake game stories to live with himself, whereas Opie, he comes up with stories about Oh, they're all Opie's all over the map.
as per the competitive rules. As an aside, PCB stands for printed circuit board and is an indication in this context that someone is
They were all against me.
playing on original hardware. We now believe that they are not from an original unmodified DK arcade PCB, and so our investigation of the tape content ends with that conclusion and assertion. With this ruling, Twin Galaxies can no longer recognize Billy Mitchell as the first million-point Donkey Kong record holder. I'm not gonna lie to you, if this is where the defamatory statements come from, Mitchell already has a very steep mountain to climb to win this defamation case, even without the bombshell evidence that came out. And to explain why I think that
And Billy Mitchell's main defense is the following.
Yeah, that's a ticket. Yeah.
It's not working as well as it was in the 80s, that defense.
let's talk about the law that's involved here. So on April 11th, 2019, Billy Mitchell filed a complaint in California state court against Twin Galaxies. Oddly enough, he didn't include Jeremy Young, aka Zelnia, in this claim, even though he was the initial accuser in this cheating scandal. I'm not saying that he should be named as a defendant. I'm just saying that's a little bit interesting. Now, the complaint filed in April.
And really, like the Streisand effect of bringing more attention to something than there would be in the first place. And you're just asking them to show the evidence that you were a cheater. And in his mind, he has probably bent reality to make himself believe, no, I am not a cheater. I am the best.
2019 was later amended on March 12, 2020 in the first amended complaint after Mitchell hired an attorney to represent him in the case. And as of the first amended complaint, Mitchell asserts two claims: defamation and false light. Regular viewers of this channel can probably rattle off the elements of defamation by now, but
false light. What was it? Fluorescent lighting? He wasn't down for the false lighting? Fuck yeah, Chippa.
just in case, here's a quick refresher. To show defamation, Mitchell needs to prove basically 4 elements. First, he has to show that Twin Galaxies lied about Mitchell. Second, he has to show that Twin Galaxies communicated that lie to at least one third party. Third, he has to show that Twin Galaxies did so with the requisite intent. And fourth, he has to show that as a result, he suffered. To the third party's statements case, the Galaxies lie about him, but they did so knowing that what they were saying was false.
Thank you for
or acting
getting
with
very in depth here. That is your job, to get in the woods here legally. Let's jump ahead a little bit, though. You're doing good at your job.
Protected by the First Amendment. So just getting something
but as far as comedically,
for defamation, or else defamation actions by public figures would chill speech across the board. So because the First Amendment does protect quite a bit of our speech about these kinds of topics, we need the ability to talk about public figures and make mistakes even when we are talking about them and not worry about a defamation case. Anyway, so that's the defamation elements. Looking at this particular case, I don't think that he has a strong case to begin with, particularly
Wait. Elise, do you realize what your defamation element says? It says he caused a bowel movement. Fuck yeah, Chippa.
So
the rim shot wasn't as close as I thought it was.
Case, I don't think that he has a strong case.
Moment passed.
Particularly, the First Amendment complaint points to the April 12th statement and alleges that Twin Galaxies called Mitchell a cheater who had established his records under false pretenses, or at least implied as much, so that any reasonable reader would understand that Twin Galaxies had called Mitchell a cheater who deserved punishment by stripping him of all his Twin Galaxy records and banning him for life from submitting further records. For starters, the claim that he did cheat for these records started with a report that was submitted by a member of the public. It then followed a process that is laid out on their website as a general practice. They then had public comment on it, and Twin Galaxies said that they had third parties investigate the matter further before making their own conclusion. It really is hard to see recklessness.
But we do have some court footage of Billy Mitchell on the stand, so let's go to that now.
If he were schizophrenic, it wouldn't take away from the fact that the defendant...
I am not crazy!
I am not crazy.
He came off as crazy there, Billy Mitchell, unfortunately.
As to the truth, let alone
a lot like Michael McKeon these days, Billy Mitchell.
Mitchell argues that the records were established on arcade software witnessed by hundreds of people who have submitted sworn affidavits that they witnessed Mitchell achieve these scores on arcade software. He basically points to a number of things that Jace Hall, the owner of Twin Galaxies, did throughout the investigation to say that Hall ran a biased and negatively natured investigation over the
We've got something very rational going on with this lawsuit. Elsewhere, we have some... We have madness going on with a snipe stream tale. I'll get to maybe I'll get to that in the TikTok part. Like, I'm not a big one for snipe streaming. That hasn't been part of my format so far, but there is a big tale of snipe streaming going on in this world. And thank you, viewers, for sticking with me with this stiff competition coming up my
scores.
ass.
For example, Mitchell claims that Hall refused to regard Mitchell's witness testimony supporting his scores, saying that Twin Galaxies would only consider, quote, scientific evidence. Mitchell also claims that Hall disregarded a statement by Nintendo's senior engineer, Wayne Shirk, who said the board used in the mortgage broker score was a certified original Nintendo arcade hardware. Finally, Mitchell also claims that Hall chose a biased third-party
Hardware.
But the thing about the actual malice standard is that really all the defendant needs to do here
Doesn't
is to
even
point to a
realize what
reasonable
she's saying.
explanation supporting the statement they made about the plaintiff and any kind of reasonable rebuttal to all of these things that Mitchell just pointed to. At the same time, most or even all of these things can be true. And
So no gameplay footage? That's actually part of the case, is the gameplay footage.
even if there's one strong enough piece of evidence supporting the idea that Mitchell didn't play on original hardware, that's enough for Twin Galaxies to prevent Mitchell from being able to meet the actual malice standard. So that's defamation. What about false light? Well, false light is actually very similar to defamation, and you can kind of think of it as like defamation light. Basically, false light is where the defendant makes a statement to the public that is
the Diet Coke of defamation, false light,
untrue, and is highly offensive to a reasonable person. And as with defamation, for public figures, the statement has to be made with actual malice in order for the plaintiff to win. So although for false light, the statement doesn't necessarily need to be defamatory, it does need to be false.
And if you are a victim of false light, you could say something like this.
My professional life is like at a 9, and my personal life is at like a 2.
You can take your professional life all the way down to a 2 when you were at a 9 elsewhere in life.
And it needs to be highly offensive. Let's go through a couple examples to show what might or might not be considered false light. One example is a case, Selleck v. Globe International, Inc. There, Robert Selleck, the father of Tom Selleck, sued Globe International, Inc. for libel and invasion of privacy by depicting Robert in a false light when the tabloid magazine purported to quote Robert as saying his celebrity son was, quote, ill at ease with women, and, quote, not the person that women...
Ill at ease with women? What a mouthful to say he don't like the lady folk.
Think he should be. Robert denied making those statements, and the court ultimately found these allegations constituted a false light invasion of privacy because they implied Robert had been
Ill
paid...
at ease with women. I'm still trying to decode that. If that means that he is a homosexual or if that means that he's beating women. Ill at ease with women.
To violate his celebrity son's confidence, quote, imputing to plaintiff a Judas-like betrayal of his son. But consider another case where an Iraq War veteran sued for false light publicity over his depiction in the movie The Hurt Locker, where they portrayed him as the main character, Will James, as a bad father, lacking compassion, fascinated with war and death, and disobedient. This was the case Sarver v. Chartier, where the Ninth Circuit said that...
The Hurt Locker, I'm pretty sure that Jay Sherman was a big fan of that.
It stinks.
Even that, Jay Sherman? Damn, I would have thought you would have liked that one.
Even if the film's portrayal of the plaintiff was false, it was not highly offensive to a reasonable person. Particularly, a reasonable viewer of the film would see the plaintiff's character as, quote, a heroic figure, albeit one struggling with certain internal conflicts, who showed compassion for Iraqi citizens. So one thing to remember here is that for both defamation and false light claims, truth of the statement is a perfect defense. In other words, if it comes out that it's actually true...
All right, we got 6 more minutes. She has given us a lot of information. And this is not a comedy program, but it is more of a comedy program than Sarah Silverman. I will give you that. That program is not funny. The only thing good to come out of Cast Media and Podcast One, allegedly trying to steal from their creators, allegedly, is that the Sarah Silverman program hasn't been on the air. So nice job on that one, Colin Thompson.
There is absolutely zero case. It's dead in the water completely. In other words, in Billy Mitchell's case, even if Mitchell is right in that Hall was steering the investigation towards invalidating Mitchell's scores, if there is some relatively damning evidence out there that shows that Twin Galaxies' statement is true, that's a perfect defense for Twin Galaxies. So turning to the statement itself, is there any evidence out there that convincingly supports the assertion that Billy Mitchell achieved these 3 disputed scores using non-original gaming hardware? In other words, is there any evidence out there that the hardware had any single modification on it? Well,
did this evidence come out yet? Because Carl Jobs definitely has this photographic evidence that Billy Mitchell... Oh boy, the way the lawyer set him up, it's a very masterful.
New evidence was just leaked from
for
this
Billy
case.
Mitchell to say over and over and over again that just eating his own tail, just the catching
It showed
himself
a
in a
clear
lie
indication that
without
Mitchell-
having to Fantastic.
Yes. And really,
stuff.
that's all Twin Galaxies needs. Good, strong evidence of a single modification of the gaming hardware on one occasion of Mitchell's high scores is enough. With that, we can potentially ignore all of the witness testimony, all of the scientific reports by experts, all of that other stuff. Okay, so what exactly is this evidence that I'm talking about? It's a number of
Yep,
photos that
here's
were
the
just made
picture.
public, which
And there's our good buddy Todd Todgers. He's he looks so much worse than that nowadays.
I saw for the first time in Carl Jove's
Eat right and exercise, folks. You can look like a Billy Mitchell instead of a Todd Todgers. And hopefully, when looking like Billy Mitchell, I'm talking about as a human and being kind of fit, not those dead eyes, those soulless eyes, like a doll's eyes.
Jove's latest video on the subject. And I have to admit, because I'm something of a noob on the subject myself, at first I didn't really know what it was that I was really looking at. But here's a clip from Carl's video explaining the evidence that's just recently come to light. Again, for the full video, please click on the link in the description below.
I have to admit, everything here looks pretty legit, and oh my god, what is that? That joystick is not an original Donkey Kong joystick. This arcade machine does not
You are hearing from the man being sued by Billy Mitchell currently for saying the truth, and now this damning photo has come out.
Have original unmodified Donkey Kong arcade.
And it's so funny, a damning photo, all that it is a red joystick, is the smoking gun in this case.
Hardware. This is an original Donkey Kong stick. It's got a big black ball and a short column. The stick on Billy's arcade is a tall stick with a smaller ball, and it's obviously red, so the stick has been changed to something else. On top of that, it appears to be an 8-way.
That looks like Billy sits on it. Look at that position. I bet he gets up on that on night. He gets pegged by a cabinet video gaming machine.
Stick. Now, the original Donkey Kong stick is 4-way, which means it can only go up, down, left, and right. But an 8-way stick, like the one you would find on all modern arcades, can also go diagonally. When it comes to Donkey Kong, an 8-way stick fundamentally...
8 ways! He does not have the Nintendo 64 analog stick. He has the modern-day analog stick that goes everywhere. All holes open.
Changes the way the game can be played. If you want to steer barrels while on a ladder, you have to stop and hold left or right, because you can't go up and to the side at the same time. But with an 8-way stick, you can continue to climb ladders while steering barrels by using the diagonals. With an 8-way stick, you can do things you can't do on an original arcade, which is why they are banned. So not only is the stick not original,
5 more minutes.
Which was totally banned, it looks
and
like
then, yeah, let's stop in with Tukey real quick. That's not my usual format. But I'll start. I'll get in the conga line in about 5 minutes.
Stick, which is extra banned.
It cannot be understated just
to
how
say
devastating this evidence is for Billy Mitchell's case. Not only has the hardware been modified, but it appears that it's been modified in such a way that clearly gives the player a boost in playing ability. This would be considered a material modification. This is apparently against the rules set forth by Twin Galaxies and is enough to get someone not only wiped from their record books, but permabanned for cheating. It would likely take an expert witness to explain all of this to a jury, but it doesn't take much
Tukey's
explaining
over.
to show why this is
too late for that.
And here's why this is
get in the
really
conga line.
Big legal mistake by Billy Mitchell.
You missed out on being part of the conga line because I was running the show rather than diverting from the show. Well, my own fault there.
If you're going to go on the offensive,
Missed out on a
kind of
conga dance.
Case. Oh, hello. Hi. Hi.
Kitty, you want to make a cameo? You can be just like the kitty on the TV. She doesn't care.
Okay. If you're going to go on the offensive in a defamation case, you should always do your due diligence first. I mean, really, this is true for any litigation, but especially a case like this. Before you ever file, do your due diligence and ensure that there isn't some evidence out there that is going to clearly undermine your case. Oh, goodbye. Now, I suspect that Mitchell would argue something to the effect that these photos are not real. But given that these photos were taken at the mortgage brokers event in 2007, custody can be so few of these scores can be invalidated with this photo alone. And because Twin Galaxies has...
Okay, I don't know if I'm going to be doing another lawyer anytime soon. Thank you for the advice. And talking of this creep of a human being, Billy Mitchell.
A zero-tolerance policy on honesty. Really, they only need to show that he cheated on one occasion to substantiate permabanning him. And here's why this impacts not just this case, but every defamation case.
Look at her using permaban. She's using gamer words. So that one joystick alone invalidates 2 of his scores.
Mitchell has filed, including one he's filed against Carl Jobst, by the way. You see, all of the litigation that I've seen or heard of filed by Billy Mitchell stems from someone making a statement or portraying him as a cheater. But now, if this court makes a final finding that Twin Galaxies statements are not defamatory, especially because they're actually true, that's something that could be essentially copy pasted into any and all litigation filed by Billy Mitchell on similar defamation claims. And that's
Okay, 2 more minutes to wrap it up here. I think I was about done with you a couple of minutes ago, just in time to
because
miss
of
the
something
conga
called
line.
collateral estoppel or issue preclusion. Under California law, as is the case in many jurisdictions, where a
1.5
issue
times speed.
has already
We're
been
going
litigated
faster.
fully and finally, it cannot be brought again. That is, the
Oh, and
defendant
you're
in
at
the later lawsuit
480p
can bring up
again.
that
I've got to
full and
check
final
that.
decision as a defense,
Bam!
so that they don't have to bear the costs
720.
of fully relitigating the whole issue from the start. This includes later litigation where the defendant is the same defendant as the first lawsuit, or where the defendant is different but stands in privity with the first.
Okay, now, yeah, that for most people that is too fast. I actually remembered it was Sam Roberts is another person who I regularly have to put this up on, and absolutely he talks on his wrestling podcast like shitty wrestling promos. So yeah, I had a few in a row that made me be like, I'm going to do these at 1 1/4 or beyond.
In other words, where their interests are essentially the same as the first defendant and where their interests were fully represented by the last defendant's litigation efforts. Now, there are limitations on issue preclusion. One of them is that it has to be an exact 1-to-1 matchup. Another limitation is sometimes courts will not allow a party to use a prior decision if it comes from a completely different jurisdiction.
Thanks for bringing us in the weeds. I'm about ready to get out of these weeds.
Use the final decision in Johnny Depp's UK defamation case against the publisher of The Sun to prevent his claims from moving forward in fair.
So are you going to talk about some poopy? Are we going to get in some poopy talk?
Virginia. Technically, she tried to use claim preclusion, not issue preclusion. It's a very, very similar concept, though. But even if issue preclusion is not an available defense for these other defendants, they can still use the photos themselves as evidence to argue that their statements portraying Billy Mitchell as a cheater are actually true. But those are my thoughts. What do you think?
Oh, well, work is hard.
You lost me there in the last few minutes. I'm sure that was necessary information
for Billy Mitchell to show actual malice. Maybe. What about the photos? Are they as damning to you as they seem to me? Let us know in the comments down below. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this, or at least found this interesting or informative. And if you did, I would love it if you could hit the like button. It does help us with YouTube algorithm gods. And if you're new here and you want to see more content like
Yes, that does give me the opportunity to do the same and do my little shill segment, tell you to like, subscribe, get in the chat, make some comments when this is over, hit that notification bell to be informed when we are going live. Thanks for sticking around with the stiff competition today. I'm sorry that I was too late for the conga line. I wanted to get the main segment out of the way first, and conga line done passed me by. Missed my chance. I guess I'll have to dance somewhere else tonight. But we have some more video gaming nonsense to go through. We have Molly Moon, who does a point-and-click horror game, and we've seen her a couple of times before, so let's check out this segment of Molly Moon in a point-and-click horror game.
Hi. Thanks for the pizza. Come to the kitchen. Quickly, we don't have much time.
You lied to me. This isn't a kitchen, Molly.
Help me! Motherboard.
This or that in the point-and-click horror game.
That was close. Banana. Patch him up.
All right, we saved him. We messed up on one of the things we were supposed to do as a surgeon's assistant here in the kitchen. But the boy's gonna live.
You did it. Thanks again for the pizza. Here's a tip. Run.
Oh no! And we had the "you're fucked" screen there. We have another video game. This has popped up a few times. I don't know what the hell this is, but Game Lovers 340 is playing. He does not speak English, but his frustration speaks through. And son of a bitch, I did not switch to my TikTok viewing. So, dang it. Molly Moon is a pretty lady. Let's see her. Well, too late. We're going forward. Onward and upward.
哦，我看到了，我看到了，我看到了，我看到了，我这里，哎，搞死了！ 这里有个按钮，我猜。
And what's really fun about this is this definitely can't be legally sold. There is all types of copywritten shit strewn throughout this. I forget if this is one of them.
哎，我动不了。
All right.
来一张。
And...
啊 ！OK， 时间的活给你走。
A still screen.
踩一下。哎，啊不炸了吗 ？OK。你来，你过来，你下来。哎，好，非常简单。
I absolutely love that the spikes have a personality in these games. The heading will move around and fuck you up. I cannot play this. My laptop would be in pieces. Lakitu is a dick in this game. Just away. Right back into the spikes. These spikes with a personality.
我躲下面，哦，躲下面，躲下面，躲下面。
But right back into the spike again. Walked into that one, sir.
你说这么紧张的？
And that's just how the game goes.
这里有个车，
When you
它
think
不
you're
撞我。
fine,
咱们
truck comes and runs your ass over. We do have some legal news from the gaming world. We have some credit card fraud committed by a gamer.
A fish just committed credit card fraud live on YouTube. This YouTuber set up a camera-based gamepad for his fish to play Pokemon on the Switch, and then the game crashed. From the main menu, the fish went onto the eShop, leaked the owner's credit card info, and bought a game for $3, effectively becoming the first fish to commit credit card fraud. It definitely wasn't a trout, so make sure you follow. And that's how
a fish committed credit card fraud. We have an update from Uwu News. Jelly VO is our Uwu newscaster.
Breaking news! Hi! Unofficial breaking news awards from the BBC. Oh, whoa! Rizzo says Delso's claims of harassment are false and unbelievable, and last few days gut-wrenchingly difficult.
Oh, Lizzo and her bananas. And people thought that Lizzo didn't get into bananas at all. But those bananas got into someone.
Uh-oh! Thailand's divisive ex-prime minister Thaksin Shinawatra flies home after 15 years of exile, adding to political uncertainty. Ooh. Hello? Anjem Chadawi, 56, charged with 3 terror offenses, including directing a terrorist
in Uwu
organization.
Oh, actually, I've got to find the guy who made an Uwu language. Like Klingon is a legit language. They got a someone who's a scholar in dead languages, and I forget what the study of that's called, but Uwu has been, like Klingon, turned into a legit language.
Oh, whoa! A UFO whistleblower who claims the U.S. government is secretly holding alien spacecraft is giving evidence to Congress. Watch live!
And, of course, we have, in the legal world, we have a sexy clown cop. I don't believe this is copyrighted music. It's only 4 seconds. So let's check out. And they are on the force. They are on the beat in Las Vegas. I got to go back to Vegas and commit me some clown crimes, some crimes against comedy, as you see here each and every Sunday through Thursday at 11:30 a.m. on YouTube. We have got Ghost Light Odyssey is this sexy clown cop. And since that was a really quick one, let's get a scare clown in here. We're going to team up the sexy clown with a scare clown. Is this at Universal Studios? Not exactly sure where this is. The real ghost face here is a scare actress, and she puts on a clown persona.
Are you gonna tie your shoe yet? Tie it! Tie your shoe! Loop-de-loop and blow! And then your shoes are looking good! Double knotted! Double knotted! Double knotted! Double knotted!
Intense attention paid. Ooh, those are nice contacts. Those are nice scary clown contacts.
Isn't that just grand? That's an amigo would be from. Now get off the ground!
Legit frightened, probably a little drunk, maybe on a psilocybin trip. And that scary clown was fucking her day all up. Well, thank you for joining this episode, sticking it out through the conga line of stream snipings. I could have gone right over there, but I like running a show first and jumping at trends second, and I'm not a big fan of stream sniping in particular. So hopefully that conga line wasn't too much. Well, there were a few people in there I don't even like mentioning. We have the person there who I say just don't look at. So I'd rather not have one of the people in that line in my conga line at all or in the same room. Your wallet will not be safe. He will commit credit card fraud, much like that fish. But tomorrow, one more day of the streaming with TikTok around the clock. And then next week, what's her name? Cassie Baxter, a suggestion from Dayla. That will definitely be amongst the co-host auditions next week. Maven has gotten a lot of views. We will revisit Maven, and we've got a slot for one more. But for those who stuck around, thanks for giving the underdog here, the newer YouTuber, the views, and excuse me, that was very unprofessional. You can expect that type of professionality from this show. But anyways, thank you for joining. Now, until next time, go away.
Well, it looks like that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for going on this adventure with me. It's fun being with friends. I'll see you next time. Bye now.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.
Places all join hands, circle left. Now circle right and listen to me. LS, MFT. Elementary corners like swinging on a gate. To right to your honey with the right left date. Grand right and left around you go. Lucky strike means fine tobacco. Meet your honey and give her a whirl. All swing around with the little girls. Smoke 'em, then you'll see. LS, MFT. Promenade and don't you fall. Promenade around the hall. Lucky strike is first again with tobacco men. Promenade straight down the pike. It's time right now for a lucky strike. Yes, for smoking that you're bound to like, you just can't beat a lucky strike.